we're bringing you all you need to succeed in the real estate business. It's Spilling the LT, brought to you by Lawyers Title, telling you what it's really like to work in real estate.
Welcome back to another episode of Spilling the LT. I'm your host, Tamera Gaede, and I'm really excited about my guest today. We're going to go ahead and just dive right in. I have with us Kristi Davis, who is not only a very good friend of mine, but also a powerhouse in the real estate industry. She's been in the business 19 years, and she's done it all. She's a realtor, she's a broker, she's a trainer, she's a truck instructor, she's been a sales manager, and so she is what I would call the foremost expert in real estate that I know. And I have a lot of people that agree with that as well. So I put the pressure on her today. But she has a very exciting announcement, and then we're going to kind of dive into why I brought her here today. And so let me go ahead and get her introduced to you. Kristi, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here with you.
I'm so glad you're here with me today. And we've been waiting a long time to make this announcement because I've known about it long before it ever went public. Okay, so let's make the announcement today. Let's tell everybody what you're doing now.
All right. I'm super excited to announce that I am starting my own business. It is 2021 and 2022 will start the new year as a professional business owner of a coaching, consulting, and professional speaking company. Super excited to announce that and looking forward to it. So Kristi Davis Consulting, here we come.
And I'm so excited that it's on my show. Because I can't tell you how many people have been asking me, what's Kristi doing? What's Kristi going to be doing? What's Kristi going to be doing? And so, I don't think that it was really a secret, but you didn't really have a plot. You hadn't really made a formal announcement yet. Right. So excited about that. Can't wait to see all the things that you're going to roll out. So let's talk about this, because I know that very high producing individuals have coaches, mentors, they're reading books on how to improve themselves. So let's talk about why somebody needs a coach. What does a coach do for them, and why does someone need one?
Well, when you ask that question, somebody needs a coach in almost all areas of their life, or a mentor. And those that are successful in any industry, whether it's the president or the CEO of a company, or it's a mid-level entry position, has some form of a coach or a mentor each and every day, each and every quarter, each and every year. And they grow through that process. So a successful agent, in order to stay on track, to have relevant ideas, to bring their mindset back together during challenging times, during great times, utilizes that coach to leverage their game, their business, their productivity, and their execution.
So let me kind of dive into this a little bit, and I'm going to share a personal experience of mine. Earlier this year, when I had, very beginning of the year, December, January, whatever it was, I had my business planning session with our leadership, right? And I had brought up something in particular that I was interested in. I wanted to connect with other me's and other places that were doing more than me, so I could learn about the processes and things like that. Well, Fidelity, and I'm going to fast forward because it's not about me here, but Fidelity has a coach. Her name is Lisa Crown. She's amazing at what she does. And they connected me with her elite coaching program. Yeah. What I found that was very challenging for me, and I wonder if high-level producing people encounter this challenge, is that I was having bandwidth problems already. And so some of the systems and processes she wanted me to put in place, I was like,
I don't want to do that. I don't have the bandwidth for it.
I don't even know. I can't keep up with what I have. Yep. So how am I supposed to do more, right? Yeah. And so I would think that your first job as a coach is to sit down and really analyze somebody's business and look and see where their holes are and guide them on how to delegate or defer or offload work that maybe they shouldn't be doing, to free up their time to try to put some of what you're going to coach them to do in place, right? So let's talk about that a little bit. What's your first step? You get in, you look at the mechanics of their business, right?
Twofold. One, we look at what their business is currently, what they're doing that's already successful, and where they're falling short in. The third part is we've got to know their vision. Do they have that big, audacious vision that we can take, here's the big picture, and work backwards?
Yeah.
So often that vision is not necessarily in tune with that individual's integrity, ethics, financial goals. It's not emotionally tagged to them. So if we really need to start on that vision so that we can backtrack, because the mechanics of everything has to be tied into that vision.
Yeah. And so your vision, I mean, we kind of sat down, you helped me with my business planning this year, which provided me a lot of insight of what you're particularly going to be doing. But it also made me think about some things that I don't normally think about. And
that's what business planning is all about.
I've already talked about one of those things, like what's your superpower? I talked about that in one of our previous podcasts. But, and I feel like sometimes people, we talk about balance a lot, and we all laugh because what the heck is that? We're
balancing, not balance.
Right. And Bob has a different term for it. He doesn't even like to say balance anymore. He says something else. But anyway, it basically all comes down to time management, right? So, if someone has a family or someone has kids or someone has some aspirations to do something outside of their business, I would think that that's also part of the conversation is how do you grow outside of your business?
100%. Because it's that component. I was coached by Buffini and Company I'm still coached by Buffini. So somebody that has a professional coaching company now is still coached by an outside source. It's important to me. So working on all of those circles that make you a whole person, your business life or just your personal life does not complete you. And if one is struggling, the other is certainly going to fall short too. So
why do you say that?
Well, so if you're having stresses in your personal life, whether it be financial, whether it be health, whether it be relationships, it's going to follow suit in some level in your business life. Whether it be that you overcompensate and spend all of your time in the business life and that personal life continues to struggle.
You're not talking to me.
Or you go into it and you're just making the motions in your business. You're not giving it your all. You're not satisfied. You're not having that emotional connection with your business because something in your personal life is struggling. So they tie in so much to one another. So having those goals and that vision for your personal life and having that goal and that vision for your business life and tying the two together is going to be really, really important. Certainly as you grow in your stature, as you grow in your professionalism, as you grow in your career.
So, part of what the background that you come from is working with Ebby Holiday Realtors and working with Compass. And those brokerages are very big in the sales manager, the office manager, coaching the agents within the brokerage. It isn't true for all brokerages, right? And so I think that's one of the things that makes Ebby and Compass unique was the fact that that's something they invested in was someone who could invest in their agent's business.
Absolutely.
So when, kind of looking back throughout your years of experience, how many of those very successful producers, do you have any idea of how many of them actually had a coach? I'm just kind of curious, how many people are investing in their business this way?
I think we have ideas that it's much larger than it probably truly is. I would say probably that, I hate to use that term, that 80-20 rule.
Okay.
There's probably 20% of the agents that are investing in their personal coaching life, their business coaching life. And some of them stay with it. I can use examples of agents that have been with the Buffini and Company coaching system for 20, 25 years. I can use Tom Ferry as he got involved in the coaching world, agents that have been coaching with him for 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. So they find value in that coach. And my idea of what I'm going to be doing with someone is complementing what they're already doing for the coaching world, because I'm not there necessarily to replace somebody. I'm there to complement and allow an agent, allow a team, allow a business, a brokerage to execute, because I think that that's far more often what agents are missing the mark on is they're not executing that plan.
Right.
They have this vision They somewhat kind of write it down. But once they've done it in October or November, they're like, whew, I've done it. Thank goodness. I got it out of the way. I don't have to look at it anymore. Well, then they're going to miss the mark because they've not put tactics into that. They've not added anything into their daily activity. You talked about priorities, time management. I always say it's about priority management, not necessarily time.
Okay, I like that.
Because we all have the same amount of time.
Sure.
But we don't have the same amount of priorities.
That's very true.
Or the level of intentionality to those priorities and the consistency. So that's really what things need to be focused in on.
Okay.
And really narrowing it down. Instead of being a mile wide within your daily activities or your plan, it's the mile deep.
Okay.
It's making sure that with these 3 top priorities that are the must achieve for this week, for this next 4 weeks, for this quarter, that you build out deep rooted tactics that are ever happening each and every day, each and every week, each and every month to hit those markers for your first quarter goals, your second quarter goals, your third quarter goals, or if you're working on a 12-week year. I've recently become a certified coach and certificate under the 12-week year.
What does that mean?
So 12-week year, it's about taking that annual planning of a year, that quarterly, that monthly, and really focusing in on short spurts of goals. So that may be 4 weeks, or that may be 12 weeks, and getting more done with the tactics and the execution and the intentionality in 12 weeks than most people do in a year.
I think that's really interesting because, a lot of, obviously this is the time of year. Well, you may be a little late now, but
it's never too late.
We talked about that. But this is the time of year where everybody's sitting down and really coming up with what their plan is going to look like for next year, right? Yeah. How they're going to strategize, how they're going to build their business, what their business is going to look like. And so, I've already done at least the number setting part of my goal. And now, now we're diving into the strategy. I'm diving into the strategy part of it that we talked about.
Which is the harder part, quite frankly.
Well, I think that's interesting that you say that because it is overwhelming to try to put it into place. Yeah. That's the time that you need is the implementation time. Yeah. But I know that the plan that I'm going to put in place for servicing, for client retention and for gaining new clients is going to be successful because it's a proven way of doing it, right? It is adopted from the Buffini, the way that Buffini categorizes his clients. And, I did that. I did that before I knew it was that Buffini may or may not have come up with the program. So, I know that this is a way that works. And as far as servicing clients is concerned, it is overwhelming to me to carve out the time and sit down and actually implement the program. Yeah. But once it's implemented, there's some automation to this, where it isn't. Yeah.
That's where the success happens. That's where the consistency happens, is creating daily habits in your business. We all have daily habits in our life, right? We don't think about brushing our teeth every day anymore, right? Yeah. When you were a small child, a toddler, your parents created that habit in you. So creating those daily habits in your business life and carving out and blocking that time to make that happen. And that's some of the most important things that you do in your business is those daily habits of staying intentional to those tactics, taking those tactics back to your vision and making sure that vision is still aligned emotionally and financially for what you're wanting your outcome to be.
And I like that, that you look at it throughout the year, to see where things need to be tweaked, right? I think we all know, I don't know if they're, everybody's intentional about it, but we obviously do it because we're like, wait a minute, I don't have the, what month is it? And I don't have the commission check I'm looking for, right? And so analyzing those things throughout your year and having someone to keep you accountable to what your goal is.
Or hold you capable.
Hold you capable. Okay. New term today.
Accountable? Doesn't that kind of sound negative?
I just feel like it's a nag.
Exactly.
Nagging me.
Exactly.
What haven't you done yet, Tamera?
So how about let's hold you capable to what you've already established are your goals and what's in your vision. Just a different tactic, just a different word.
So there's, going to be a lot of new agents looking at this, and there's going to be, people that are at different points in their business. When should someone consider looking at a coach?
Yeah.
And obviously, I know that you're wanting to build your business.
Sure.
How does one interview a coach? Should one interview a coach to make sure they're a good fit? And what kind of questions should they ask?
Yeah. Oh, good question. So I have a questionnaire that I sent. If anybody is to ask me or engage with me about, am I the right coach for them? I have a questionnaire that asks some very pointed questions as to what their expectations are. Are they a reality? Are they matching? And what's their goals? Have they ever worked with a coach before? What did they like about their coach? What did they not like about their coach? Where did they fall short? Because you don't just get a coach, you work with a coach.
Correct.
And if you're not willing to put forth the time and the energy on your end, it's really hard for a coach to create you successful. It's really hard for a coach to make you work with them. So that, again, that goes back to, it's a nag. I don't like to be held accountable. We all say we want to be held accountable until we actually get it. But when should somebody think about getting a coach? Well, day one, right? When you started teaching, you didn't just sit down at a piano and start playing, right? Sure. You took lessons.
Yeah.
You had a coach as a piano instructor. So in the beginning, how about we create great habits in the beginning? How about we establish great, solid foundations for newer agents in the business, or somebody that is trying to reinvent themselves, change how they're working? Let's go in and create solid foundations in which you're to build upon. Sometimes an agent or a team is going to work with a coach for many, many years. Sometimes there's going to be a natural transition from one level of coaching to the next because you've stepped up your business or you're looking for something newer in the business. I've switched coaches along the way in my 17 years. I've been coaching with Buffini and Company for 17 years now.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
I've changed coaches along the way. I don't have the same coach from the beginning because my business grew. I was an active listing and selling agent when I started with them. Then I became a sales manager. And then I transitioned from sales manager to a business owner in a different light. So I needed a different person with a different perspective that could help me through that. And so much of what many other coaches are doing, sometimes it's mindset, methodology, and idea-based in coaching. Some of it is dragging or pulling what's already out in that agent or in that team to become successful. Others is it's performance and execution based. That's a lot of the piece that's really, really missing in our agent's business on a day in and day out basis. That execution piece. How do we prioritize? How do we execute on these goals that I've set now for the 4th year, or I've just changed it up just a little bit this year. It's a 20% increase, or it's a this increase, or I want to buy back my time. I want to leverage my time. Those are the components that a coach brings to the story, and it can happen, and it's going to be needed at any and every level of your business life.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you have to continuously analyze what you're doing, and there's a lot of intention that needs to be in your business, right? And so I think that, especially because the market's been so, we don't have a word for it, whatever you want to call it, bananas, insane, unprecedented, all of those are words, but
and we've pivoted, and all of those things.
We have all the phrases now for COVID. And so, I think everybody just got in their car and stuck that sign in the yard and showed their buyer 30 houses and wrote 17 offers. And, it just, I didn't see as much ability to be intentional with how insane it's been since shelter in place lifted. So I think that's where, and everybody's fat and happy right now, right? Because they've made all this money. Everybody made some money. And so I think that even though it doesn't seem like it should be, that is an even more important time to be focused in on the mechanics of your business and how you're getting to that next level, because this isn't the market will change.
Absolutely. We always know that the market will continuously change. It will never be the same.
And we had this conversation, and it was really interesting to me because, obviously sometimes you just don't you just don't think of that. It once you said it to me, I was like, oh yeah, of course. Inventory is going to be tight next year, which makes it difficult. I mean, it's still, let's not be mistaken about what we're saying here. Right. It's still a very great market.
Absolutely. And we've seen increases.
Yes.
And we're going to continue to see increases.
But it's also going to be tight inventory, which is going to make it difficult to continue to increase your business.
Yeah.
Because there just isn't going to be as much on the market to sell, right? There's not going to be as much to trade.
Right.
So I'm kind of just thinking out loud here, and my question's coming because I just thought it was a really interesting vein because, again, everybody's been so busy and been able to be so successful because there was so much franticness after shelter in place was lifted, and it continued on through this year, and it will continue on next year. But how do you get someone to, how are you helping those highly successful agents stop, take a look, tweak? Are they making time to do those things?
Yeah. It's yes and no. I mean, it's a double-edged sword, right? Same thing. Iron sharpens iron. So when you are sharp, when you are at a successful level, it's time to dig into your business. You have got to step outside of the daily activities and really dive in and work on your business versus working in your business. And having that ability to have a coach, a mentor that can really help you set apart and set that time aside to say, okay, wait, this is really important because I was very successful to my benefit or without that plan or flying by the seat of my pants, whatever that looked like the last 2.5 years. But how do I make sure that I can sustain this and continue to grow my revenue, my inventory, my team, my financials, whatever that looks like for that individual. So it's about having that mindset and having that really successful ability to focus in on what's important to your business and have a coach that can say, okay, really, let's slow down for a moment and set yourself up to succeed.
Because I've had a lot of realtors that are exhausted.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that intentionality. It's that consistency. It's that level of when you're an agent is the CEO of their business, right? Yes, they work for a broker.
Sure.
All of that component, but they're the CEO
100%.
of the bonus of that business. And when we talk about what that looks like, are you being the actual CEO of your business? Have you figured out a way how to delegate and work to your strengths versus your weaknesses and hiring to those strengths versus your weaknesses and making sure that, yes, I'm too busy. Yes, I'm too busy. Yes, I'm too busy. Okay, well, wait a minute. Oh, slow down. Are you using your time and energies and your skill sets to the highest and best use of your time? That's what a coach does. Sometimes we say the ugly thing in the room.
Sure.
We address the ugly thing in the room.
Sure.
We hit pain points within somebody. That's what we get paid for as well as the other things
I've done that too. An agent says to me, I want to do this. And I'm like, you're not ready to do that. You have to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. Or it's okay, great. You want to do that. But yet
we got to take the steps to get there.
You got to walk through the steps and you got to walk through the sequence correctly. You can't go from A to Z.
Okay, let me ask you a question. A lot of my clients are taking time off right now.
Yep.
I don't blame them.
Nope.
Is that a good idea?
I will always say that everyone needs to take time off. Everyone needs to have a scheduled day off. Everyone needs to refresh and renew, and that's easier said than done. But if we can help you position your structure, your foundation, and the day in and day out activities of your business, should you be able to take time off? 100%.
Because I've got agents taking like November off. They took November off, like the whole month.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what does your pipeline look like for January? And so that's kind of, so taking time off versus dropping the ball in your pipeline.
Correct.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So what is the most important thing in an agent's business? It's their lead generation activities, right? It's their database. That's the golden goose of their business. That's what they sell, hopefully one day when they decide to retire. They sell that database. So making sure that there are systems in place and activities in place that continually increase and get those generating of that lead, that will help tremendously, because the CEO of the business should be able to walk away and take a 2-month vacation if they have those systems in place.
Okay.
If they're staying consistent with what they're doing. Lots of talk out there, and I will take this, that I didn't create this idea, I didn't create this verbiage, but how do you win your week? It's 4 days a week working. How do you win your month? It's 3 weeks out of the month working. How do you win your year? It's 8 months out of the year.
I mean, I have agents that just would blow their mind to try to think about doing something like that. Okay. I'm sorry, a buyer called. I've got to drop everything I did, because they want to see a house.
Yep.
And if I don't drop everything I'm doing right now and go show them that house, they're going to go find somebody else.
Yeah.
How do you address things like that?
Setting expectations with your clients. Establishing your standard of professionalism, your standard care. I can give you an example of an agent that I was on vacation with just recently who said to a client, fantastic, I am so excited, because he picked up the phone. I'm so excited that you want to work with me. You're going to have to wait for 2 weeks. I'll be glad to show you. I'll be glad to come list your home, but here's what I'm going to do for you. My showing agent is going to come work with you for the next 2 weeks, and then we'll set up and have an appointment. So he had something in place. He has a system in place that it's a team involved around. That one individual agent, that new agent that's in the business.
Yeah, that's what I want you to address now, because they don't have that showing assistant.
They don't have that. They don't have
Okay, so what
that.
do they, how do they get, tell me how they tee up their business so they can
go take a vacation.
take a vacation, yes.
They find a partner in their office.
Okay.
Whether it's a newer agent that they came on board with the brokerage, or it's a friend that they've got. It can be a newer agent. It could be a more experienced agent. It could be an experienced agent that has a team that they've connected with. But they want to connect with somebody in their brokerage, somebody that they can share business with, they can share the leads with, they can share ideas with, they can work with one another. Hey, I've got a doctor's appointment next week. Would you cover my business, because it's going to be all day? I'm going to go take a vacation. I've got my kids' soccer game.
Yeah.
I've got my daughter's choir performance. Would you cover for me? And I'll do the same for you. That could come with many different ways. It could just be being great partners and work and establish a working relationship with one another. Or it could come with, I pay you to open doors, or I pay you a referral fee. But having that connectivity and creating that bond with your coworkers is really important. This is not a silo business. We've allowed it to be from time to time, but it's not a silo business. We all work better in community.
Okay, but there's a lot of virtual brokerages popping. Fathom, EXP, they don't have brick and mortars.
Yep.
So
You can do that without it being brick and mortar.
how do they find and connect? I mean, I don't know. I mean, did some of these people even see other agents within their brokerage?
I would say probably during COVID, it's been very difficult.
Yeah.
And that's with all brokerages across our industry. But there's that connectivity. Reach out to your broker. Reach out to your sales manager. Reach out to somebody. I'm certain that you didn't walk into a brokerage and know 0 people when you started. Pick that brain of the person that you met or that helped recruit you to the brokerage. Who's somebody I can talk to? Who's my mentor? Most brokerages have some form of a mentoring program, or maybe that's reaching out to your title company, your trusted source. Hey, who's a good person that I could talk to, that I could go mentor with? Where can I get involved? Maybe that's getting involved at the local association. Maybe that's CCAR or MetroTax. Maybe that's getting involved so that you're surrounding yourself with like-minded people and that you're having those ideas shared and you can communicate and connect with one another. And maybe that in the very beginning of your business, you're not ready for a paid coach. You're not ready to do that just yet.
Oh, there's so many expenses associated with being a new realtor.
Absolutely.
That's really, I think that would be a big ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's connecting in with that opportunity and learning what you can at no additional charge.
Sure.
At your brokerage or at the association level, through your title company, and connecting. But again, having those systems in place and creating those foundations, and that's having that partner in the business, whether they're an actual team member or they're just a person in your office or in your brokerage that you've connected with, that you two can build each other up along the way.
I find it really interesting that you bring up the association because, you're still so involved in the association. Every time you're like, I'm on a new committee, I'm like, shocker. And I have pulled out of that just because as an affiliate, I feel like I've served my time. I may plug back in at some point. I have great love for a lot of people at the both associations that I'm involved with. But it was really interesting because I had a client reach out to me recently and said that he wanted some help for me creating some partnerships with new agents and having some bigger opportunities to grow his business. And he's a lender client. So I was really kind of thinking about, well, wait a minute. Okay. Lender clients want buyer's agents.
Right.
Title reps want listing agents. Right. So we're not pursuing necessarily the same kind of realtor. Right. And, and then also how, you don't think, you've been doing it for so long, you forget that this is how I started the business. And I started thinking about it. I was like, well, wait a minute. I'm not responsible. I don't need to feel responsible to raise up a new lender client, right? So I need to empower him and give him the tools and direct him in the way that I was directed by my mentor when I very first started in the business. And so, the conversation,
giving back.
Well, and the pay it forward, right? It's of course I want to pay it forward, and because I had someone extremely generous with her time to help me plug in in the right way. And I was talking to my escrow officer who, it's our client. And I said, when I first started, I was the first one in the room and the last one out, and I went to everything. And if someone said it wasn't a valuable use of time, I did it anyway, because what's valuable to them isn't, necessarily valuable to me, and vice versa. And so the conversation that I'm going to have with him is to go plug into the board and go become a member of Collin County Association of Realtors. I don't know, you're not required as an affiliate to be a member of a board. So, not everybody is or even knows to go and do that, and go to new member orientation, and then go seek out, the affiliate forum committee at CCAR, and go look at TRLP and look at those kind of resources, because that's how I did it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you
built lifelong friendships and business partnerships.
100%.
That way.
I went down to Dallas to our Park City's grand opening, knew pretty much everybody in the room, hadn't seen them in years. Oh, okay, great. There's, so-and-so. And so.
But they hadn't either, at least two.
Yeah, sure. But it was, those things, that was the groundwork that I laid when I first came into the business. And
that's that foundation I was talking about again. Coming back to that, making a strong foundation. Everything else can build upon it. We can have pandemics. You can have a life-threatening disease personally. You can have a family tragedy. You can move brokerages. If you've built that solid foundation, you can pivot You can
Correct.
stretch. You can change.
And I think that's so important. And I think that's a big kind of, light bulb moment or little nugget of our conversation today is that these newer agents coming into the business, or the ones who haven't seen the success level that they want, start to take another look at your business, look at your foundations. Have you laid the groundwork in the right way? I have clients that don't have a working CRM.
Yeah. 19 years in the business, right? It was always the shocker to me when I would ask agents, how many people do you have in your CRM? Well, I don't have one.
Yeah.
Or, okay, great. What's your average sales price? How many transactions did you do? And amazing to know that
When's the last time you talked to one of your past clients?
Yeah.
What is the statistic on how many people go back and use the realtor they originally used? I think it's like...
It's terrible.
It's terrible.
Quite frankly. Because when NAR does that survey every year, the consumer says over 92% they want to work with the same realtor. Roughly 93%.
Do they remember who it is? I've heard that before. They don't even remember who it is.
And then that number goes down when they say, well, do you know who that agent is? And then secondly, the number goes down even further when they say, does the agent still contact you on a regular basis?
Right. And so these are all things that are key components of a successful realtor business.
Yeah.
What makes a successful realtor a successful realtor?
Intentionality, consistency, a plan, revisiting the plan, setting priorities, knowing where they're going. It's very simple to say. It's very simple to say, harder to achieve. Because it goes back to what you said. It's the time.
Yeah.
Or lack of better yet, excuses. We will come up with excuses until we actually have the priority and in the mindset.
And I would think that the biggest holes that you see in a realtor's business, or the biggest issues that you see in a realtor's business, is not having a plan, not revisiting all the things that make a successful realtor successful.
Yeah. Or even it's that execution of the plan. I've created this plan. I spent 2 weeks creating my plan, but we didn't execute on it. We didn't put together the tactics, the daily habits, and continue to focus on it. That's probably even the bigger issue is the actual execution, the performance.
Yeah. Are you going to talk to people about how to fill out a contract appropriately?
Funny enough, I'm doing a video with Metrotex next week in regards to just a little tips and tricks on how to complete a contract.
Okay. I don't think anybody knows the contract better than you.
I'm certain there are, but
I don't know them. Okay, I don't know who those people are.
But it definitely is a passion of mine.
Agreed.
When somebody says you really like to teach Legal 1 and 2, Track Legal 1 and 2, and I say, yeah, I really do. It's important. It's important to put that as a priority in our business so that we are the best that we can be in our profession, that we actually are professionals in our business, just not licensees.
Well, and I think that, there's a lot of truck instructors out in the world, right? And a lot that teach the mechanics of the contract, Track Legal 1 and 2, and AR Code of Ethics. We could go on and on and on with the classes. But I think where some of this gets lost is that they're not a practicing realtor.
Yeah.
Or they don't have current experience working with the contract or the things that have changed in the contract. Yeah. And so I think, I was really excited about you being an instructor and not associated with another brokerage, and so that I could bring you in, because I feel like your expertise, a lot of your expertise and what you're really good at is making sure that the guidelines of the contract, the spirit of the contract, how it should be, how it's supposed to be filled out, what the pitfalls are, how agents can keep themselves out of trouble, how they can write the most strategic contract.
Absolutely.
And the list just goes on and on and on.
And working with agents as to what's actually winning an offer.
Correct.
Knowing what's taking place in our industry, in our local markets, day in and day out, so that you can help other agents understand the concept of how to better negotiate, how to enter interact with their sellers or their buyers in regards to the contract, in regards to pricing, in regards to whatever that looks like. So having those boots on the ground, I intend to fully stay vested in what's happening to be able to coach better, to be able to train better, to be able to utilize what's happening to really help an agent in their business, whether it just be visionary or actually strategic with tactics and implementation and knowledge of the marketplace.
Remind me, give me the list of committees, boards, Metrotex and TAR, and tell me what you're involved in right now, because I have a hard time always keeping up.
Oh, goodness.
That makes you such an expert in what you do.
So I currently serve as a director at Metrotex Association of Realtors and the Texas Association of Realtors. I am currently the chair of the Forms and Contracts Committee at Metrotex. I am currently the liaison for the Risk Reduction Committee at the Texas Association of Realtors, and will move into vice chair for that in 2022. I can't even say those words.
It's coming in 17 days till Christmas. So yeah.
And let's see, what else am I on? It may escape me. Oh, I'll be in the leadership development. I'll be the vice chair for the leadership development committee at Metrotex next year. Looking forward to that. Helping grow new leaders and bring in new, fresh people into the board and help that vision and growth continue to happen and inspire others to be involved. Abby, it was my inspiration of a lot of the things that I get to do or have the privilege of doing at the local and state, and in the past, the National Association of Realtors, because she said, one, you give back to your community, you give back to your industry, and you give back to the people that you work with. And those three pillars are incredibly important to me, and I've instilled that into my daily life.
And I think that's a great place to wrap up for today.
Thanks
Kristi,
for having me.
Thank you so much for being my guest today. I really appreciate it. As always, it's great to spend time with you, but it's also, I'm really excited to see how this grows for you. I have no doubt. I never had any doubt that you weren't going to be super successful at your next endeavor. And like I said, we've been waiting for this opportunity to come to fruition for a very long time. So whatever I can do to help you, I'm happy to do. And thank you so much for being my guest on the show today.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of Spilling the LT. Again, I'm your host, Tamera Gaede. Make sure to go on to all of the platforms, social media platforms, like, share, comment, subscribe. That way you can keep up with all things happening in real estate. Can't wait to see you for the next episode.